went to Iraq with the Pathfinders, very small patrols, going out a long way ahead of own troops and gathering information. And a round basically passed right between our heads, and then it all kicked off. I was running on top of the main building in the centre of the compound. I heard the noise and I see a flash of a bomb right in front of me. They dropped a 1,000-pound bomb that fell short. This explosion just went boom right in front of me. It was one of the most scary and terrifying things and amazing things all at once. From about the age of 7 or so, I wanted to be a paratrooper. So I was with one para for 5 years, went on Pathfinder selection in '95. It's a reconnaissance unit. It was based on a very short and compressed version of selection. I wanted, since I was a little kid, to jump out of airplanes. I went to Red Devils for 3 years. Learning curve was incredibly steep. It just gives you a head count. Ding, ding, ding. And on the third one, you're out. After I did a couple of years of that, I decided to then go into CCF. The good thing is you're getting to hopefully influence young people and develop them. So it's teamwork, it's discipline, it's integrity. What I'm trying to do is pass on some of my experience.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Debrief. He doesn't need an introduction to me, Tom Blakey. He won't need an introduction to you by the end of this. He's a great guy. He's an ex-paratrooper, former paratrooper, in fact, I should say. Tom, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, nice to see you.
It's good to have you on. Listen, let's take you back, as I do with all my guests, and let's talk about little Tom. How was little Tom? Where are you from, little Tom?
Yeah, from Wellingborough in Northamptonshire originally. And, yeah, I grew up, had a great childhood. My dad served in the army. He did his national service in the 50s.
Okay.
And then he
Who was he with?
So he was with the what's now the Yorkshire Regiment. But when he was in it, it was the Duke of Wellington's.
Okay.
So he did his national service, and then he ended up going to Australia later on in life because he just wanted to get out of the country and go travelling for free.
Did you go as well? Did your parents stay together?
No. So this was well before I was born.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Yeah, after he left the British Army after a couple of years, he went to Australia and ended up in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he went over there and after he finished over there, did 6 years in Australia, come back to UK, settled down with my mum. They basically looked for some work, and the overflow from London was in Northamptonshire, so basically that's where they settled down. And that's where
so did he used to tell you stories about Vietnam and that, did he?
Not really, just mainly sort of going on the piss in Saigon and stuff like that, fighting with the Yanks, the usual stuff. Yeah.
Wow, so what was you like at school?
I actually enjoyed school. I did pretty well. There's this thing that everyone thinks paras are all numbskulls and all that. It's not true. I actually done really well at school, but
SWAT.
Yeah, well,
Bordering SWAT.
I did all right. I think
you did all right.
Yeah, I had a few.
Did you achieve anything in school? Did you get any qualifications, whatever?
Well, I joined the army at 16, so I didn't have the opportunity to kind of go into further education.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did all my GCSEs.
Your GCSEs and all that sort of stuff.
Passed all them, got some good grades, that sort of thing. My teacher was trying to encourage me to do something other than join the army.
But you would have none of it. You was a cadet. Was you a cadet?
I was in the cadets as well. Yeah, I joined the cadets when I was 13. As soon as I could.
What cap badge were you in the cadets?
Royal Anglians.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Because that's like local regiment. You don't get
Yeah. That's right. You don't. Yeah. So
absolutely love my time in the cadets, and I think it gave me quite a bit of confidence as well.
Really, it does, a lot of people say that it builds them up, brings them out of their shell, and I see that with a lot of the young people that I meet even today. They've gone there, they've joined at a young age, and all of a sudden, boom, they're up there like that, cutting about, giving it the old Brecon point and that.
Absolutely loved it. Running around in the fields with Lee Enfields back then, getting cammed up and all that.
Did you still have putties?
Yeah.
Did you
putties and all that.
Putties.
Yeah, loved it. Absolutely.
Honking.
Loved it. Yeah. KF shirts, all that good stuff.
That's right. Yeah, itchy scratchy.
Absolutely got.
Well, it's still itchy scratchy when I joined up.
Yeah.
What year did you join?
88. So
yeah,
a couple of years after you.
Same sort of time as me. So yeah, itchy scratchy shirts on.
Yeah.
Ironed right up.
Yeah.
So you say your teachers sort of like weren't having it any other way for you other than Para-Reg?
Yeah, so that's
did you join up thinking I want to be Para-Reg?
Oh, yeah.
Or did you just join? Because when I went as careers officer, I didn't really know that much other than a year's worth of CTF.
Yeah, no, I was
But you were absolutely bonkers, need this.
I mean, from about the age of 7 or so, I wanted to be a paratrooper. That was it.
Really?
That's all I wanted to do.
So you knew about the parachute regiment?
Yeah.
The first thing I ever knew about the parachute, I went to school with a nipper called David Hardy, and his brother sadly was killed in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And I used to draw pictures of the cap badge and stuff like that. He was just, just send them out to me. Like, you know what I mean? It was crazy. But so 7 years old.
Yeah.
And what inspired that?
Do you know, I can't remember why really, but I think it might have been partly films that I watched on telly. So things like The Eagle Has Landed, watching the old Fallschirmjäger doing the business, A Bridge Too Far, things like that. And then later on, a couple of years later...
Did you have an action man?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Paratrooper one, obviously.
Hoon it out the window.
Yeah. And then later on, a couple of years later after that, the Falklands War happened, and that confirmed to me, these are the boys. It was basically,
because I remember all those pictures myself in 82, wasn't it? Something like 82.
Yeah.
Of them going out, and watching them on the Canberra and all these strange ships and thinking, what they up to, running about around the deck and loosing machine guns off at the back, and then all of a sudden it was proper on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So to me, after watching that on the TV and in the papers, you only really had two options. It was Parachute Regiment or Marines, and I didn't want to run around surrendering at people, so I joined the Paras.
Oh, dearie me. I bet there's a few of you out there now, isn't there? Yeah. Put them in the comments below for Tom, all right? Not for me. I didn't say that, okay? So you joined up straight from school then?
Yeah.
As a junior soldier?
Junior para, yeah.
Okay. How was that?
It was harsh. It was really harsh. I mean,
and were junior paras with the rest of the junior soldiers then?
No, so it was independent. This was back when you had the regimental depots.
Okay.
And we was actually at the Guards depot, weirdly, because I think they didn't have enough space to keep them in depot para.
Okay.
It used to be there, and they moved them to Purbright.
Was it Purbright?
Yeah, and we were...
Well, there's a screamy, stampy place as well.
Oh, yeah. It was a serious place. Yeah, it was massive. And all the instructors were Falklands veterans, bar a couple that were ex-1 para. And they were obviously angry because they didn't go to the Falklands. So they all had anger issues and they were all a bit nuts, but they were probably some of the best instructors you could have had at the time because they'd been there.
And you spend a year there, don't you?
No, 6 months.
Oh, okay.
So junior leaders was a year, but that had finished before I joined.
Okay.
And then it was junior soldiers, and 6 months at juniors and then another 6 months in depot.
Okay, so in adult depot.
Yeah.
So you literally sort of like go across... But all the shot in them days?
Yeah, it was all the shot. Yeah.
Okay, so back down to the shot.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Into depot. What was that like? What was parachute depot like?
Again, really harsh. The gloves were off there. There wasn't.
You smacked it at the wrong time, really, haven't you? Because you've got all these guys who, like you say, have been to the Falklands or angry because they haven't been to the Falklands.
Yeah, probably all PTSD'd up.
And you are Joe.
Yeah. And I'd literally just turned 17 when I went to Depot Para. A lot of people are a bit older than me there, so it's quite a scary place. And the instructors, they didn't mess around back then. There was no messing with them. Won't go into too much detail, but you did not want to get on the wrong side of anyone.
Screaming and shouting.
Well, yeah, and hands-on as well.
Yeah.
Big style. So, but it was the sort of place where you turn into a man pretty quick. And they sorted the men out from the boys really rapidly. And, learned a lot of good stuff from a lot of really good professional people.
How daunting was P Company as a 17-year-old?
Terrifying. Yeah, freaking terrifying. I mean, I think but we had our confidence from 6 months in junior para where we'd built up our skills and our fitness over quite a good period. And we hit the ground running. We were only, I think, 3 or 4 weeks off P Company when we went into depot because they dropped you in at week 10 or something like that.
Okay.
So you only.
So what were these other blokes' reactions like? Who was sort of the adult intake when all these young guys suddenly turn up?
To be honest,
who were probably fitter by that stage than what they are.
Yeah, exactly that. I think there was a little bit of who the hell are this lot, and we was kind of the ginger cousin of the platoon. Even the staff were like a bunch of juniors. Who the hell do you think you are? You know that sort of thing.
Joer than Joe.
Yeah. But exactly. You weren't even a Joe. You was like an underling. But I think most of us proved our worth pretty quickly, and we integrated in with the guys. And a lot of them were only 6 months older than us anyway. Some of them. So very similar ages. Some of them.
What was the attrition rate from very first day one of you hitting?
Well, junior para wasn't as bad. I think we passed out with 33 guys out of 55. But that was without a selection week, obviously.
Yeah.
But to get into that 55 was tough in the first place, really, at Sutton Coldfield and that, because there was only 2 intakes a year for the entire country. Yeah. So 110 people for the entire country to get into junior para. So out of that 55 that joined up with, 33 passed out, and out of that 33, I think there was something like 25 finished the training.
Okay.
But when we went to adult training, the platoons were enormous. There were over 100 strong, like 110 or so when they started. By the time we started P Company, there was 78. And out of that 78, only 24 passed.
Wow, that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, when I did my P Company, you're going to give me grief for doing all on P Company, all that, half a P Company, all that sort of shit. I know it. All right, okay. But, there was quite a few started and quite a few finished. And I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but quite a few actually finished.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All right, the beat-ups that you had, especially the log battalion's beat-up, was honking.
Yeah,
They absolutely
heard,
they murdered their own blokes. Like, do you know what I mean? About 80-odd people turned up for that. About 3 went on P Company. It's like, what are you doing that for?
But that's why they had the high pass rate, eh?
Smashed your own people, like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, by the time we got on P Company, so I thought it slightly differently. Do you know what I mean? We sort of like, but the people that went passed almost. Like, do you know what I mean? Loads of Gurkhas on it as well.
Yeah, and out of that 78 that I just mentioned that started P Company, that also included junior para and it also included retrainers. So if you think about the numbers, they started with probably 110.
Yeah.
Plus there was the juniors were split into group, so there was probably 25 of us. Plus there were retrainers, were probably about another 20 odd of those.
Okay, so those 25 that passed, right?
Yeah. You're talking.
Did they still do it in the old sat in the chairs at the end, stand up?
Oh no, there's none of that. So when we did it, when we did the real P Company, right, it was. We got the pass-fail in Brecon.
I'm going to get back later because I did the real selection.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Fair one, mate. Cadbury selection.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so in the recruit P Company back then, anyway, what happened is you finished your week, and obviously that you had your Brecon phase.
Yeah,
and you finished in Derring Lines in Brecon, and they had the parade there, and you basically stood in 3 ranks. And they called your name out, and it was either pass, fail. Pass,
really?
fail.
And how many stand-up fails? There's quite a few stand-up fails on that.
Yeah, loads. And they basically turned to the right, got buggered off, get on the truck, and back to Aldershot, and you either start again or you transfer.
Yeah, or you go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sort of like you must have felt pretty good at the end of that then.
Yeah, but first time I didn't because I failed first time.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. So
how does that feel? That's not.
I wrecked my ankle on one of the events, properly trashed my ankle, and I wanted to continue, but I couldn't walk. Next morning I couldn't walk, so I was absolutely devastated.
How far had you got through P Company when you did that?
So I was a day and a half from finishing, and I was absolutely devastated. But I went to retrainers, and then.
And did you just go right back at the beginning?
No. So, but what happened is you go back to retraining platoon. As soon as you're fit again, they put you back into a platoon. But they put me in at about the same stage as I left off. So about.
Okay, so that's not so bad, is it?
No, and I was on the next P Company as well.
Okay.
So obviously back then you heal quicker, you bounce back quicker at
17. Yeah.
And within 4 weeks, I was 4 or 5 weeks, I was back on P Company, and I smashed it, no problem.
So in them days, you would have gone straight away to do your jumps as well afterwards.
Yeah. So what you used to do is you finish P Company, you do Advanced Wales, which is another 3 weeks in Brecon, just for a little treat, live firing and advanced training, and then at the end of that, you'd go on to your P Company, your wings course. Okay,
so I know you've done sort of like about 4,500 jumps or something ridiculous now. How did you find jumping in them days? Did you enjoy jumping? Did you look forward to jumping?
Well, I wanted, since I was a little kid, to jump out of airplanes. That's all I wanted to do. But when you're actually there for the first time, I was, again, terrified, absolutely terrified. I was convinced I was going to die.
Yeah.
I actually thought I was going to die. And the first jump was out of the balloon.
Yeah.
Where, did you do the balloon in yours?
I did the balloon last. Yeah. Honking.
So you step
when
off.
That little thing goes.
Yeah. And as you know, you drop down for a good couple of 100 feet. The stomach comes up here, and it's terrifying. But I didn't hesitate because I didn't want to make look like an idiot in front of my mates. That's the main thing that motivates you, I think, is you don't want to look stupid in front of your mates. And I just stepped off, no problem. Once the parachute was open, I thought.
I know we did loads of skyvan jumps for some reason.
Yeah, so
which I found horrendous because it was like I just kept smacking my head on the thing, and I wasn't even particularly tall. It's just my exits were just horrendous.
It's just a massive swad, isn't it?
Yeah. A fat heed.
But yeah, so when I did it, there was no skyvan. That came in a couple of years after me. So we did one jump out of a balloon, and then everything else out of C-130. Yeah. Sadly, they just retired all the C-130s, haven't they?
Yeah.
So it's nearly all skyvan for the lads now. And then they get the occasional jumps out of that new aircraft, the A400M. But yeah, back then it was all C-130.
Yeah. Wow. Sim sticks and all that sort of stuff. All that good stuff.
But as you know, the military parachuting, it's not like skydiving. It's a lot of rough and tumble. You sat on the plane, you can't wait to get out of it because it's horrible. You're hot, you're sweaty, you got all that gear on. And step out the plane, it's great for a couple of seconds, and then next thing you know, the air's zooming up towards you.
I just remember my jumps course took ages because of the weather. The weather just had us weathered off all the time. Our first jump was actually out of a Herc.
Yeah.
It's just, we're like that. We'd sort of like accelerators, decelerators, it was just got us in where they could.
Yeah.
A lot of messing about, driving down to Western on the green.
Yeah.
Just an absolute nonsense the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
I think after the first couple of jumps, though, I started to really start enjoying it.
Yeah.
Once I got a bit of a confidence with it, and I got past that initial fear barrier of, just your unnatural thing of jumping out of an aeroplane, isn't it?
Also, all my jumps were night jumps to start off with, because screaming with my hair on fire at the door,
Yeah. We had Gurkhas on my course as well, actually, funnily enough, on the parachute course. And first thing I saw after my parachute opened once was this Gurkha steering right at me. And I'm like, what?
And they copy you, don't they? They do what you do, rather than steering away.
I'm pulling over to my left and he's coming left as well. I'm like, what are you doing? Piss off.
They come with you, don't they? Unbelievable, yeah.
Funny.
Oh, so you joined your unit. Which battalion or?
So I went to 1 Para originally.
One Para,
yeah, I was 1 Para, which was based in Aldershot at the time. Absolutely loved it. I just turned 18. And
Loving it downtown.
Yeah.
What boozers were there then? The Rat Pit, the
George.
The
Fives.
The Fives was a good laugh, wasn't it?
It was, mate. That was
big old lino floor on there. People used to go surfing in on the floor.
It was just a drinking den. It was amazing. Yeah, used to have a big night on a Thursday, get absolutely hammered. And then on the Friday, every Friday was a 10-miler at P Company pace, 1 hour 45, carrying a Bergen. And all of us were doing it half cut, basically. By the time you got to the end of the 10-miler, you're probably just about sobered up.
Yeah, I bet that's done your body loads of good, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, they say you got to hydrate, yeah?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
10 pints of Stella.
Oh, dear. So, what was on when you... Northern Ireland, I suppose. Was that your first operational tour? Was Northern Ireland?
It was, yeah. So I've done just under a year in 1 Para. Done a couple of trips overseas and stuff. Had some good times. And then my first operational tour was Northern Ireland in 1991. I'd literally just turned 19, so I was 19 in a couple of weeks, and we went to Ireland, and it was obviously back in the days where it was quite hectic, quite rough, and it was Palace Barracks, so 2.5 years. Stayed for 2.5 years in Northern Ireland, so at that age, that's quite a big step up again.
Yeah.
Another big learning experience, and you go over there fairly naive, and then after a little while, you kind of...
Did you have any incidents on your first tour?
A couple of minor ones, nothing too major, to be honest. We was quite lucky. Either lucky or professional, I suppose, both really.
Even the IRA said, you got to be. We got to be lucky once. You got to be lucky all the time. It was one of their big things, wasn't it? You know what I mean? So
but
there was an element of luck.
Nothing too major on that first tour, to be honest. But just a lot of boredom, a lot of stagging on, a lot of walking around the streets, waiting to get shot at or blown up every day. Which ain't great when you're 19 years old, is it? Yeah.
So you come back from that. How long did you stay with 1 Para for?
So I was with 1 Para for 5 years. We went back over a year later back to Northern Ireland for another 6-month tour. And
Whereabouts?
So we was in West Belfast.
Okay. Noisy?
Yeah, same old stuff all over again, same streets. And I was starting to get a bit sick of Northern Ireland by this stage. I was like, you know what? I've only been in the Army, battalion 5 years, and I've spent 3 years in Northern Ireland. I'm getting a bit sick of this. And also I wanted to kind of move on a bit. I was thinking, right, what's the next step? What's my next challenge? So I put myself in for Pathfinders and went on Pathfinder selection in 95.
Okay, so did you get through first time?
I did, yeah.
And where did you go then? So were they based out of Aldershot? Where were they based?
Aldershot as well, yeah.
Okay.
So the whole brigade was in Aldershot back then.
All right, so just explain a little bit about the Pathfinders. What is their role? Their role, as far as I understood, was sort of like a forward operation for the brigade.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a reconnaissance unit that's just for what used to be 5 Airborne Brigade and now 6 Air Assault Brigade. We have been tasked by other units and elements outside the brigade occasionally. But yeah, it's basically a reconnaissance unit for 6 Air Assault Brigade.
And that was for things like searching for DZs for large battalion drops and all that sort of stuff, or brigade drops and all that sort of stuff?
Exactly that, yeah. So the forward element, the classic Second World War Pathfinders, they'd jump in just before the main drop, secure the DZ, set the marker panels up and defend it.
Their history does go back to I thought they were a fairly recent thing for some reason.
Well, they started in the Second World War.
Okay.
British were the first people to use them. It was the first concept of Pathfinders. Germans didn't use them. They just jumped in directly and then obviously...
Yeah, didn't care. Land on what you land.
Got massacred in Crete, didn't they?
Yeah,
things like that. So we learnt from their lessons. We instigated a thing called Pathfinders. That started in the Second World War. It got disbanded after the Second World War. And about 15, 20 years later, it got reinstigated as a Guards Para. So that's what you may be thinking of.
Okay.
So Guards Para was instigated
What's
in
the
the 60s.
reason behind the Guards Para? I just don't get that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure why they got given that task. I'm not really sure. And then when the Parachute Brigade that got disbanded about 1978, I think it was, there was no Pathfinders at all, but they had the patrols platoons in the battalions doing Pathfinder role. But it's not really the sort of thing you can do part-time in between Northern Ireland tours and stuff. So
right, okay. Because you do a lot more training there, don't you? You do things like your hey-ho and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And then the Pathfinders, as we know it now, got established in 1985.
Okay.
And it was made up of just parachute regiment soldiers initially. And then there was people from the brigade allowed to join, like signals, engineers and stuff like that. Then they opened up to the Guards because they had that historic link. And then it was anyone in the brigade. and then it was anyone in the army, and then it was tri-service.
Yeah, because I'm sure we had a guy. He went across there. He'd been one of the OCs there. He'd gone across as a Rupert.
Yeah.
And I think we also had a bod had gone there as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah, I know him, yeah.
It was, yeah, I can't
Yeah.
remember his name, but
Yeah.
I know we had a bod that went there.
But yeah, it was opened up for the entire army, and then it became tri-service. But it was based on like a very short and compressed version of selection, the selection
So
course.
when you first got there, what sort of operational stuff were you doing? Or
Right, so back when I first joined in 95, there wasn't that much going on outside of Northern Ireland other than Bosnia. But we went to Kosovo.
you come on a trip with us, didn't you? You come on a
Yeah,
trip to
that was a bit later on.
North Africa, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that was 98, yeah. So we went over to Africa with
So you did the
Hereford.
Kosovo stuff?
Yeah, did Kosovo. That felt to me a little bit of a letdown because we wasn't used in a very particularly good way for our kind of skill set.
Right, what did they do? Just have you...
They just had us doing like OPs and road watches stuff. But when that sounds great, but actually there wasn't like much of a target. I think they were just using us because they didn't
Stagging
know
on,
what to do with us.
basically.
Yeah.
Stagging on to stag on.
Yeah, there wasn't an awful lot for us to do out there. It only become later on, like Iraq and Afghanistan, that we got used in a true, proper form sort of thing.
So we'll talk about. Let's move on. Let's keep with ops and let's talk Iraq and Afghanistan. So
Okay.
you obviously did both with the.
Yeah, so I went to Iraq with the Pathfinders, and we was right at the spearhead of everything. Basically, we were pushed out a long way in front of the rest of the troops, and yeah, we were basically just carrying out recce tasks, finding out what's going on, getting ground truth, conducting airstrikes.
Did you get any kinetic type stuff on that first stop?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So we conducted some airstrikes on opportune targets.
Okay.
One of the patrols conducted a direct action against the target. Another one was wrecking a target and got compromised on the way in, and then basically had to go for a contact drill and fight the way out. There was a few things like that happening. Yeah,
that was quite. So yourself, your own experiences. What was the first time you actually got some juicy rounds down the range?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Iraq for me wasn't so much that.
Okay.
So our patrol did what you're supposed to do as a recce patrol, and
I
not
was going to
get
say because
compromised.
there is a concept. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Do you know what I mean? If you're working behind enemy lines, it's not there to have a punch up.
No,
it's there to bring
quite
back
often,
information.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So our main role for most of the time out there was reconnaissance,
Okay.
and my patrol actually was just purely a reconnaissance patrol. And we did our job properly and didn't get compromised. I'm not saying the other guys didn't. I'm just saying we were maybe lucky again. So I didn't actually get into a contact personally in my patrol, but a lot of the other guys did.
Yeah.
We was kind of just happened to be in that sort of position where we was able to gather the information without getting compromised or having to get rounds down. Which
Cool.
is
So
a good thing if you're in
a fairly quiet tour then for you in that respect in the connect.
Yeah.
But you were being used to the max then.
Absolutely, yeah. So very small patrols, going out a long way ahead of own troops and gathering information.
Were you going by foot? Were you jumping or were you taking vehicles?
Vehicles. We initially drove across the border and then punched out in front, bounced around different sort of targets that was wrecking, and then we actually got leapfrog forward by Chinooks in our vehicles later on, but all vehicle mounted stuff.
Okay, cool. Enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. It was
So-
very, very interesting stuff.
Afghan.
Yeah.
Different sort of war for you, was that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I was involved in the first big operational tour out there as well, 2006.
Okay.
Herrick 4, and we all knew it was going to be hectic, and it was. It was very hectic. I think there was, who was it, the Defence Secretary or someone said, I'll be surprised if they fire even a couple of rounds in anger, and we all was thinking, who's this geezer? We're going into the Taliban heartland, and they...
Yeah, whereabouts was Herrick 4? Was that?
Helmand.
Helmand Province.
Yeah, Helmand
okay.
Province, yeah. And it was pretty much full on from day one.
What was your taskings there?
So, again, it was supposed to be reconnaissance, but we ended up getting used as whatever was available, basically whatever we was needed for.
Okay.
So one of the first things I did as soon as I got there was we went to Musakala, which is really a very busy, hectic area. It's a crossroads of routes and stuff. So the Taliban wanted to keep that.
Yeah.
And they just nearly overrun a police station in the centre, district centre, and we got sent in to reinforce them and just defend it.
Okay.
And was only meant to be there for 2 days, and we ended up there for like 2 months.
Really, that proper noisy, was it?
And we was getting smashed pretty much every day.
Okay.
Sometimes a couple of times a day.
Have you got any sort of like stories of your first contact or anything like that?
Well, actually, the first time, it was funny. There was a convoy that had been ambushed, an American convoy.
Yeah.
And we basically all stood two. It was probably about a K away from where we were, but we could we wasn't close enough to be able to do anything, but we was all stood to because things had gone noisy in the region. And me and this other guy stood next to each other, and a round basically passed right between our heads, and you felt the concussion and
you get that
crack. It went straight between our heads.
Sound, yeah.
And that's the first time that someone actually shot at me directly, and we both just dropped to the underneath the sort of layer of the wall that we were stood at. Looked at each other and just started laughing our heads off. That's the sort of thing you do, isn't it? When you survive something that's really dangerous, you just laugh at each other.
Yeah.
So that was the first time there was something really dangerous. But then, there was lots of incidents there where we got attacked within that compound, and lots of firefights. We nearly got taken out by, funny enough, the Americans. They dropped a 1,000-pound bomb that fell short, and it just missed our compound by about 200 metres.
Really? That must have given you an earring.
Yeah, well, I saw it happening because I was running on top of the main building in the centre of the compound to get some eyes on, and I seen this flash. I heard the noise, and I see a flash of a bomb right in front of me, and it looked like it was literally right there, and it wasn't very far away, and it landed on a mosque right in front of me, and it was one of the most scary and terrifying things and amazing things all at once, really, because this mosque, and I'm not saying I like seeing mosque getting destroyed, but this explosion just went boom right in front of me, and there was bits of wriggly tin and roof and masonry all up in the air, all over the place. This massive explosion, and I was right there, right in front of me. I was like, shit, things are going to go down now, and it did. It got worse and worse because of that. They obviously thought we'd destroyed a mosque
deliberately
on purpose,
targeted it,
and we hadn't.
No.
I mean, that bomb landed just outside our compound wall. If it landed just inside, it probably would have wiped most of us out, if probably all of us.
Really?
So the fact was there was a 10-foot wall. The blast got channeled straight up, and none of us got any.
What would you say was your most dangerous operation you did over there?
That one.
That was the most dangerous?
Absolutely, yeah. So I went back over in 2010, and that was hectic again. But probably that first one I think was the most dangerous.
And where else did you get fighting?
That was it, really. So one of Iraq, two of Afghan.
Okay. No, but in that particular tour, did you end up fighting all over the place?
Yeah. I mean, there was various other bits and pieces. Yeah. We went to break into a town to secure a break-in point for some ANA troops, and I was the lead vehicle for the whole platoon then, for the whole unit, and we got channeled because obviously going into an urban setup, you get channeled, don't you, by streets and roads and all that sort of thing. And as we were breaking in, it was just turning light. We stopped, observed, and we was looking for firing points and stuff. And then, funnily enough, somebody fired an RPG direct at our vehicle, just missed us, and then it all kicked off. Carried out contact drilling in the vehicles. All the vehicles fanned out, and it was like something out of Star Wars. It was amazing because it was low light. It was the light was just coming up, and all you're getting is all the green and red tracer going each way. It was flipping amazing. It was scary shit, but it was amazing as well. It was amazing. Yeah. And we were using the Canadian 50 cal ammunition at the time. Okay. Because I don't know if you heard about this, but there was a problem with a British manufactured 50 cal ammo. It kept stopping constantly on that first tour. The guys were having stoppages on 50 cals, which is a major nightmare. Our CQMS managed to get a whole load of Canadian 50 cal ammo, which was green. So normally the enemy's tracer's green. So we was driving back, and all the guys are firing all this green 50 cal tracer plus the red stuff on the GPMGs, and it was just freaking amazing.
Yeah, I bet it looked phenomenal.
It's like a light show. But just before we turned and did our first bound, I had a UGL. I was a vehicle commander, and I had a rifle with a UGL grenade launcher, and I popped it, and it went straight over the wall and into the firing point of where that guy fired the RPG. Really? So I like to think that I smashed him up, because
you're quite happy with that.
Fucking good shot.
You're quite happy with that.
Well chuffed with that. I was like, yes.
So a noisy time over there, a couple of tours. When did you decide that you were going to go out? Because you went to the Red Freds for a bit, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I actually went to the Red Devils in between two tours of Pathfinder.
Oh, okay.
So I went PF between 95 and 2000. Decided I want to just... I actually went on selection and came off... I didn't pass selection, as in for Hereford. Okay. So I went on that in January 99. I was a bit devastated I didn't pass. I was thinking, that's your pinnacle of soldiering and stuff. But I got injured on the course.
That was after you'd been done the squadron trip as well, so you must have known a few.
Yeah, it was, 98.
Okay, yeah.
98 was that trip. 99, I was on selection. Came off with an injury, and I was a bit devastated. I was like, right, what next? I need to kind of think of something else I want to do now. Because I was a bit... kind of disappointed with what happened in Kosovo as well. So I went to Red Devils for 3 years. Absolutely had an amazing time for 3 years, just jumping out of planes, jumping into events all around the country and all around the world.
What's that like? There's a bit of alliness with that.
Oh, yeah, it was fantastic.
That cat badge goes around there somewhere, doesn't it?
Well, to be honest, you only wear your berry once in a blue moon on the Red Devils. You wear it on the line-up when you stood to attention at the end of the display, and then that's it, really.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, you're in sports kit sort of thing. Yeah, but it was an amazing job. Learning curve was incredibly steep because it's not just, you don't just jump out of a plane and pull your parachute. There's lots of other stuff you can do.
No, I've seen it, all that stacking up.
So I was on the canopy formations team where you literally intentionally crash the canopies into each other, link up and then split it and then do a thing called a down plane and all this sort of thing where the canopies, you literally facing towards the ground, shooting towards the ground with smoke going and all that sort of thing. And you're jumping into very small arenas.
Have you done that at night, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's because we do it, the old sparks coming off you. And all
Yeah,
that
you
sort
have
of
a thing
stuff.
called cold pyro. So you set off all this pyrotechnic stuff and you have all the sparks, you say, coming out the back. You have all siloons, the glow sticks all down the front of your jumpsuits and that. Yeah, it's amazing. Fantastic stuff.
Happy days. So
Yeah.
you enjoyed that?
Yeah, I loved it. The reason
How much
why...
did that jumping help you when you actually went back to the Pathfinder?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it helps your accuracy jumping, your accuracy by a long way because when you're doing the display, you have to be accurate to land safely in an arena. So your
arenas are funny as well, aren't they? Because you've got wind coming over the top of them and stuff going on
coming
inside.
over buildings and stuff, So that really did help the canopy control. But I wanted to go back to the Pathfinders because Iraq was coming up and everyone knew we was going to Iraq. So at the end of 2002, I was like, right, I want to go back in the green kit now and I want to go back to Pathfinders. And yeah, I'm really chuffed I did. Chuffed a bit. So yeah, I went back to PF in just early 2003.
So you did you ever do that heavy drop stuff? You know, you did some stuff with that, didn't you?
Yeah, I was a tandem master. So I was a civilian tandem instructor in the Red Devils where you take people for tandem skydives. Yeah. And then I went and did the military tandem master course, which is absolutely
tandem master,
crazy shit.
Tandem master,
yeah. But
Big Tom, the tandem master.
Yeah, you jump with those 6-foot tubes, the Canadian tubes.
Yeah,
which is
there was a shot that
crazy.
It made it onto TV for some reason on some breakfast program, didn't they? And it was like footage. And what's that doing on there?
Yeah,
like,
it should have been on there. Yeah. But yeah, that was probably after doing. So at that point, I'd probably done about 1,000 jumps or so, and I was, very like jumping out of planes was just like jumping on a bus or whatever.
Yeah.
But doing that tandem with the tube, really, it's
how much
one
does
of
that
those
tube
things.
weigh?
I think it's about £400 they weigh.
What's that in kilos, roughly?
That's about 190 or so, isn't it?
Oh,
180,
okay.
something like that. So it's a lot.
Just trying to work out if you could replace that tube with me.
Just about.
Just about.
I reckon. Give you a couple of packed lunches in your pockets. Yeah.
Slightly another 3 cells on your chute or something.
Yeah. But yeah, you do that stuff. And it's halo as well. So you're going up to high altitude, above 12,000 feet, oxygen on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And doing it at night as well. And you literally get that tube pointing over the edge of the tailgate and you're holding onto it like this. And then going out the back, it's like a toboggan. You basically run out the back with it and it drags you out the plane. It's
you must just absolutely
nuts.
Fall.
Yeah, you drop away.
And do you have a drone at the back to try and slow down and stabilise you a bit?
So
how do you stay stable with that?
Yeah,
That's
what happens is one of the parachute jump instructors takes the drogue out the back of your parachute, holds it up in the air like this, and the guy on your left, who's your dispatcher, he gives you a head count because you can't talk to each other because you've got oxygen on. And when the guy's ready with your drogue, he just gives you a head count. Ding, ding, ding. And on the third one, you're out. And the guy in the back's holding your drogue, and he has to hold it up and away because if you don't, that will catch on the edge of the tailgate and tear, which means you can't open your parachute because that drogue needs to be inflated to fly to open the canopy.
Just sounds honking. Sounds honking to me.
Oh, it's crazy shit. Yeah, it's really crazy.
Can you last ditch scenario? Can you just cut everything away and just
you can
just get onto your reserve if you had to?
There is a cutaway pad on the front, to get rid of the thing, but that's only in an absolute emergency. If there was something life-threatening happening,
Wow. That just sounds awful to me.
I
always want to say parachuting was not my favourite activity. Like, do you know what I mean? Quite happy to swerve it if it comes around. Like, you know what I mean? A D squadron were jumping all the time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's next level. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, I loved it. That was the next challenge for me. Is doing something to that level was just fantastic. Loved it.
Yeah, no, and that was quite exploratory, I suppose, at the time as well. When it was pushing the boundaries of it.
It was. Yeah, I don't think that it had been going that long when I did my course. Probably less than 10 years. It was a mainstream thing for PF and Hereford, yeah.
So do you still do anything with the red threads now? Because you injured yourself as well. Tell us about your trip to Kenya, because you smashed yourself up, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I was very, very lucky. After I left the regular army, did 25 years, I then joined 4 Para. So I was in the Reserve Battalion, Parachute Regiment. And after a few years there, I got asked if I wanted to go back to the Red Devils as a reservist.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, you what?
Hang on, shall I think about this? Shall I?
Yeah, just for like 2 seconds flat. I thought all my Christmases had come at once. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So yeah, I went there. 2017, I had kind of the best year of my life because I was my second bite at the apple doing this sort of thing. Yeah. Loving life. However, after doing all the displays that year and, having no dramas whatsoever, I then went on holiday with a couple of the guys and just had an incident. It's kind of difficult to explain, but I had an incident where I ended up hitting the ground very hard, very fast. And lucky to be alive, to be honest. I smashed my femur into 3 pieces.
I mean, a femur is a life-changing... But a femur in Africa could be a life-ending.
Because Do you
know what I mean? Because of the standard of the hotels, the time from target to the hotel, do you know what I mean? You are proper lucky.
Yeah, I had no pain relief for an hour. So I was lying there for 45 minutes.
Howling.
Yeah, 45 minutes, just gritting my teeth for 45 minutes. And then the ambulance turned up and they gave me some sort of pain relief, but it didn't.
I mean, that wouldn't have been an ambulance like we envisaged.
No, it's a minibus, And then, it took me 15 minutes to get to the hospital. And it wasn't until I got to the hospital when they gave me morphine that I had any pain relief at all. And by that stage, I was hyperventilating. And I knew I was conscious, but there's nothing you could do about it. It was my body taking over.
Yeah.
And that was a nasty experience.
So what happened in hospital?
Basically, I ended up staying there for 11 days. That was the minimum amount of time that I had to be there before I could be moved. And then went home. Just had to check back in with the hospital back home. And I had 2 years on crutches.
How was that getting home from Kenya?
It's not nice, yeah.
Really?
I was on my own as well, so, yeah. But I did get help at the airport and stuff with porters and stuff. So they looked after me from an airport point of view.
What were you, pinned up or...
So I had nothing external. I just had a pin going from my hip to my knee, which is still in my leg now.
Wow.
That's in for life, apparently. So even though that's in there, I've started parachuting again. So that's amazing. Loving getting back in the sky again. Yeah, you just
love it, don't you?
Yeah.
What's the weight restrictions on a tandem? Because I do want to do a tandem.
It's normally around about 85.5 kilos.
Oh, I've got to get a bit of weight off then.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no, 89.5
89.
kilos.
Still got to get a bit of weight off. I'm hovering way too much for what I should be.
Yeah.
You're gonna tandem me if I get it off?
Yeah, mate. That'd be mega.
We're going to do it, man.
Yeah, mega.
So what are you doing now? Let's talk about what you're doing now. You got out.
Yeah.
Obviously, you finished all your FTRS stuff or whatever it was called.
Yeah, so I was on FTRS and my contract ended. And basically, I was like, what can I do now? Because I can barely walk. I was still very, I'd just come off crutches when my contract ended. So I went to a cadet training team. So that's still FTRS.
Okay.
So serving. But what you do is you kind of, your responsibility is to look after schools and cadet units and help them with the training and advise them and stuff like that.
What cap badge you wearing there?
So I'm back in just wearing my normal Parachute Regiment cap badge and berry.
Cool.
So that was good. After I did a couple of years of that, I decided to then go into CCF, Combined Cadet Force, as a school staff instructor, and that's what I'm doing now.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for the last 2 years, and I work at a school where I grew up.
Is it a private school?
It is, yeah. So it's not the school that I went to. No, I went to some rough-ass school. But yeah, it's the nice school.
Now you're looking after the people you used to be chasing about
downtown.
Exactly
that, yeah. And it's a busy job. I've got 300 cadets from all 4 services.
What cap badge?
All 4 services. So the Army are Royal Anglians.
Yeah.
And then because that's the local regiment, then I've got Navy, Air Force and Marines.
So do you have to wear Royal Anglian?
No, thank God.
Oh, I was just dying.
You were dying to beast me, weren't you?
I was going to hat you all over the place.
It's funny you should say, because they recently come out with dress regulations, and they were saying that within the CCF you should all now be wearing your own county regiment cap badge. And I went, well, yeah, you can try that, but I won't be around for much longer. And I think a lot of other people did as well.
Because I know, because Eton, who've got the CCF, have got their own cap badge, haven't they? And I know my school originally had their own cap badge.
Yeah, there are some that do that. Yeah. Well, we have within ours. I'll say it's Royal Anglians. Actually, it's the Royal Anglian cap badge, but with Wellingborough School written underneath it. So it is actually our own cap badge, but it's based on the Royal Anglian one.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And you obviously enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got its ups and downs like any job. As a lot of it is admin, to be honest. But the good thing is you're getting to hopefully influence young people and develop them So it's not all about.
I think the cadets is a tremendous thing.
It's a
for
great
that,
thing,
because the
yeah.
school curriculum doesn't take into consideration any of the skills you need for life, as far as I'm concerned.
It's no life skills, is
Do you
it?
know what I mean? There's nothing, is there? No leadership, no teamwork, no
Exactly, all
bonds.
those things.
None of that, is there?
No discipline.
No.
Yeah. So the good thing is with a CCF, you're not. It's not so much about learning how to fire a rifle or learning how to do left turn at the march. Left turn at the halt or whatever. It's about those personal skills you're saying there.
Yeah.
So it's teamwork, it's discipline, it's integrity. Sea drills, basically, as they call it.
Yeah. Getting people to work together and all that sort of
and
stuff.
it does.
I think it's
It really
great.
does develop them. As
like
I said,
people have said to me before, "Oh, it's not about the army. It's not about delivering. It's about delivering skills to that kid, so that when they get out of there, they're of more use and respect society a lot more. Because respect is non-existent in some of these kids nowadays.
It
You know
is,
what I mean?
sadly,
This is a great opportunity for them to learn what respect actually means, isn't it?
Yeah, it exposes them to things that are uncomfortable to them. Like having to stand up in front of people and instruct. How many 14, 15-year-olds get to do that outside of cadets?
They don't.
Doesn't happen.
They don't. No, they sit in a chair and they get talked to and down to a lot of the time.
Whereas these guys, they get to learn their responsibility as an NCO, and then they have to pass on their knowledge and experience to the younger cadets, as I did when I was in the cadets. Teaching things like map and compass and navigation and stuff, which is great. It's awesome.
Do you run the old Duke of Edinburgh scheme and all that?
We do, yeah.
Which I think is a tremendous thing. Again, I think that's an awesome thing.
It is, yeah, and that's again another great thing for developing as a person. Yeah.
Yeah, no, brilliant. So you've got an events company as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I started a company called First In Events.
Yeah.
First In being the motto of the Pathfinders. And it's based on military experiences, so things like the fan dance, which is, as you know, a Special Forces selection route.
Yeah.
Tandem skydiving, bushcraft.
Oh wow! So you do
survival.
events as well. You don't just do the. I didn't realise.
Oh, we do all sorts of stuff.
Okay, right. Come on, give us a full resume.
Yeah, so we do tandem days. We've got a good few of those coming up this year, and we support charities doing that as well. We're actually partnered with Help for Heroes this year.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
that's
brilliant.
awesome.
Nice.
We do bushcraft and survival days. We do navigation weekends.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of new ones coming up this year. We're doing a bug out and prepping weekend. So that's talking to people about, how can you kind of future-proof your life because of all things that's happening in the world now.
A couple of cans of beans and a nice blade.
Yeah, exactly. Casing some scoff in your back garden, all that sort of thing. Yeah, we're going to be doing a P Company stretcher race as well later this year.
Oh, wow.
So we're actually going to run it on the original P Company route in Brecon.
Oh, okay.
From the Talabont Reservoir up. So there's lots of good stuff.
Oh, that'd be cool.
doing.
Well, how long is that? Is it a 10-mile stretch?
It's about 7 miles.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I might have to come down to that.
It's a beast, mate. Yeah, yeah, it's a beast.
Come down to observe.
So yeah, the good thing is that again, I'm without trying to sound big-headed. What I'm trying to do is pass on some of my experience, and help maybe influence people to get outdoors and do stuff rather than just sitting there.
It does
watching
work,
a
and
computer screen.
I see a couple of people at these events as well who perhaps haven't joined the army for this reason, that reason, or the other reason.
Exactly.
A million different reasons, but that gives them that experience of going up the hill, finding out a little bit about themselves. Isn't it?
What I've concentrated on though is hopefully developing skills, teaching skills, and experiencing things rather than some of the other companies out there, without naming names. I'm not trying to slate anyone, but some of the other companies treat it as though it's SASI, you tough enough, and they're shouting in their faces and calling them, CUNTs and stuff like that. Whereas we don't do that. What I'm trying
it's not
to
required,
do.
is it?
No, it's not.
And actually, yourself, on selection proper,
they don't.
There's none of that either.
They don't do that. No,
you either make it or you don't make it.
And there's other people out there that think that's what happens, and it's nothing like that, as you know. So, what we're trying to do is kind of pass on information and develop people's skills as opposed to just treating them like crap.
Yeah, which is not what you want to hand your money over for, is it?
No, it's just stupid,
If you want that, join the parachute regiment in the 80s.
Yeah. Just get thrashed beyond an inch of your life.
Spade load. Just getting called Joe.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Oh, dear. So what future-wise, what's teed up for Tom in the future?
I've got a couple of irons in the fire. I won't go too far with it, but what I will say is hopefully the company, what's happening now is it is starting to expand now, First in Events. And what I'm hoping is it gets to the point where I can take it on as a full-time thing, because at the moment it's kind of just a sideline.
Yeah.
So at the moment
it's hard to get things off the ground.
It is,
isn't it?
You need money coming in, don't you?
Of course
so
you
that's
do,
my main job.
Yeah.
But when it gets to the point where it kind of tips and I need to give it more time to make it develop more, then I will do that. And another thing I've got going on is a YouTube channel as well.
Okay. What sort of stuff are you doing on there?
So that's called Prepared Pathfinder, and that's about being prepared. It's about preparedness, and it's also about outdoor skills. So
cool. I'll have a look at that. So we'll stick it all in the links underneath this. But I'd have a look at that. Yeah, definitely.
Cheers.
No, I enjoy that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and that's coming along quite well as well. That was a bit of a lockdown project, basically.
I think we've all got lockdown projects. That's what me and Johnny are sat here.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that I expected to go nowhere whatsoever. It was just like keeping ourselves busy and occupied and stuff, and then it kind of grew arms and legs and got bigger and bigger. So.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
I thought I was going to get the world's allocation of beastings from the blokes when I saw them on Airborne Forces Day. Like, what the hell is that?
Are you going over this year? Are you?
I am, yeah. I go most years. And
I'm going to try and go this year because they said it's going to be it's the 80th this year. Or
it is,
and it's also
Arnhem and Normandy, yeah.
It's also going to be quite a big one because there's unfortunately, there's not that many originals and guys left who were actually there, is there?
There's not. And another thing that I do, and I keep myself busy, is I run my local parachute regiment association, actually. So Northamptonshire branch, PRA. And we met a Second World War veteran a couple of months ago, still alive, had jumped into Normandy and Germany.
Wow.
He was a sniper in Germany, so no doubt he did some,
I bet he did,
business.
Yeah.
He was also in the Battle of the Bulge, and he was in Palestine after the war as well.
Wow.
Absolute honour and privilege to meet that guy.
Honestly, I mean, I was fortunate enough to meet some of the original SAS guys and stuff like that. You can't. But now, if you get the opportunity, you've got to see them, haven't you?
But, with it being the 80th anniversary of those battles towards the end of the war, there's hardly anyone left.
No, there isn't. No.
And this guy passed away just a couple of months after we met him. So. But the great thing is we did get to meet him and we presented him with a new berry because he'd lost his berry years ago.
Really?
So it was great to be able to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I bet, yeah. No, they're amazing people, aren't they? And sadly, like I say, there's fewer and fewer. But
very few, yeah.
You will see if you go to Airborne Forces this year, myself and Tom.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee what state I'll be in. Last time I went, I didn't even make the D's head. I got absolutely steaming.
Mega, yeah. So, I'm actually, Normandy, anniversary this year as well, the 80th. I'm actually going to be parachuting into Normandy.
You're going over there as well?
So I'm going to be there.
Be jumping out of a Dakota or anything like that?
All dressed up in the old Second World War gear.
Are you jumping in that clobber?
Yeah.
You love it.
Stack line round into Normandy, yeah. We're flying over from the UK and jumping directly in.
A PX-4 or a...
No, it's an American SF-10. So
it's
a static line round canopy, though. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that impact with my pin in my leg. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm sure.
20 feet per second into the ground, mega. Yeah. But yeah, looking forward to that. That'll be awesome.
Empty your pockets before you go because you don't have any extra weight on that one at all, do you?
No.
Not even your notebook and pencils. All gone.
Yeah. Have a good pee before you get on the plane. And I think there's something like 8 Dakotas all going over in formation, and we're all going to be jumping at the same time. So into Carentan as well.
Mate, that'd be
when the American DZs.
That'd be so. Well, look. Yeah. We hope you become a friend of the show. We hope to get you back on, and if you want an excuse to come over and tell your tales of that, especially, do you know what I mean? Then
thanks, mate.
Please, hopefully you'll come on again.
Cheers.
In the meantime,
cheers, Phil.
Thanks for coming, bud. All right.
Been great to see you.
Yeah, nice.
Cheers,
one.
mate.